Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button, man. And I appreciate all y'all. Akademiks exposed it, man. And he broke it down. You know, he exposed it and he broke it down. I know Wack is going to be mad at this. Straight up. I know Wack is going to be mad at this. I know he pissed. Blueface pissed. Wack pissed. Everybody going to be upset. His own man done put it out there. Yeah, his own man's done put it out there. You know, and then he gonna title it "No Double Dip." Hey yo, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. Then he gonna put it up there, "No Double Dip." That's wild. He put it up there, "No Double Dip." Yeah. You know, I appreciate all y'all, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, man.
Maybe I call him, but not right now because I'm on like a little roll. I want to derail it. And I know sometimes I feel he derails the stream. I love Wack, though.
Straight up. Wack derails.
However, I want to be very clear. Oh, the first before I say that, Blueface, you got to stop being a bully, brother. You get what I'm saying? You know, Blueface, you're 6'5", like 270. You need to go fight Deontay Wilder. Okay? This idea that you're catching face, hey homies. That's cool, brother. I was watching NLE Chopper to say, NLE, if you're an idiot, you'll entertain that. There's nothing wrong with ducking a fight. Like, if I was that retarded nigga, little baby, I would be like, yo, bro, that nigga.
Oh yeah, man. I'm trying to
Soldier Boy should be said in response to it. And maybe that's fair, right? Let's go. Akademiks, Blueface, WACK100. Let's see if we can find that clip. So I want to be very factual about it.
Let's get to it. Come on, let's get to it.
Here we go. Was it this?
WACK100 has issued a warning. So I'm gonna play.
What the fuck? YouTuber with us. What the hell is this? Here we go. It's a conflict of interest. You know, I'm not going to get into business, but I always knew Blueface was pretty stupid. I'm going to tell you why. Blueface is signed to WACK100 and managed by WACK100. Let me tell you how this works. When you sign to a label, they take at least half already. Then you're getting managed by the guy who owns the label. So of your 50% that you're getting, or less than 50%, he's still taking at least 20% of that too. It's double dipping. You get what I'm saying? So you never sign, you never get managed, or you don't have a management company owned by the people that also sign you. Okay. Now, before I address and kind of like, not necessarily clean up what I meant or really fully explain, I do want to give WACK100 the opportunity. And he did respond. He responded here. Was it here?
Akademiks claims that you've been stealing money from Blueface.
Yeah, I got on his ass about that. That was crazy.
So for the record, he said since Blueface is signed to you on a music level and managed by you, that means that you're essentially taking like half of his money.
Here's the thing with Akademiks. When I talked to him, I said, have you ever done a contract with anybody musically?
Wack never said that to me, and I absolutely have. I literally have a joint venture, just like I have a joint venture, the Academy Records. It falls under 10K. Used to be under Capitol, and now they send me notice they're under Atlantic or AMG, okay, which is a newly formed thing. Elliot, which is the son of Lucian Grange. The deal I did was with the son of Lucian Grange, which is Elliot Grange. It's on 10K projects. It's there. I'm signed to my own label, right? Which literally I had to sign that myself. And also I signed another person as well. And also I've offered contracts as well. But that's neither here nor there. Would I say I have more experience in Wack with doing contracts and stuff like that? I would say no, because Wack has worked with a lot more people, clearly.
No, I said, what are you talking about?
Now, he specifically says that Wack lied. Without a doubt in his mind. No, you never said that to me. And yes, I have dealt with contracts. There goes lie number 1 from WACK100.
Well, I'm looking at Finesse. Finesse's contract, he got 4 or 5 people. I would never allow that to happen with none of my clients because I know too many direct people.
But who is it? It's
Billy Bag Yo.
Oh, so he originally signed
Mob Ties.
and then Mob Ties.
JPE, which is the dad. You got Atlantic as the mother company. So that's 4. And then him. You see what I'm saying? So his 20% is really probably 20% of a 40%, which is really like 8%. This is where Act gets shut down at. He said Blueface is signed to me, right? Blueface was signed to Cash Money West. Cash Money West is owned by who?
Birdman.
I just oversee that division. So what the fuck are you talking about?
Akademiks claims
The reason why Wack is really good is that he has a way with words, like any great media personality is. That's why I think he's one of the top media personalities. I want to make some some corrections to what he's saying. It also probably helped clearing up what I was saying. I don't know the full details of the business between WACK100 and Blueface. Anything I'm saying it in general, even though based on what we've heard publicly from Blueface's own mouth on interviews and even recently, it feels like what I said matched up with what was going on. I don't have the contracts. I haven't looked at Blueface's stuff. So I'm going off of what they have said publicly, what we perceive, and how that should be interpreted. Here's the very premise. The premise is this. If I do a contract, like put it like this, this happened with the Offset like QC thing. It's a reason why. Well, let me use another analogy before I get to that.
I want to say this though. Act is trying to make sure as he cooks Wack and embarrasses him that he chooses how he uses his words. That right there is wild.
If me and 15 chat niggas get caught up in a RICO, hopefully we don't, right? It's a reason why it's a conflict of interest for your lawyer to be a lawyer of someone else. Why is it a conflict of interest? Because at a certain point, they might have to enter into a proffer status or whatever with the government that now you have to pick whose interest you're prioritizing. It's a conflict of interest for someone else. That's why people have separate attorneys. By the way, it's the reason why a judge would get recused in many situations. If a judge, who many judges used to be prosecutors and also had private practices as defense attorneys, if a judge previously, and by the way, I thought this helped out YSL Mondo, Fonnie Willis previously represented YSL Mondo, who's self-acknowledged as a co-founder of YSL, when she was doing private practice in between one of her prosecutorial gigs, and she represented him for a gun case. Clearly, who knows how that representation went? She may have had a lot of knowledge from attorney-client privilege. Now, because she represented him, it would be unethical of her to then prosecute him, given the fact that she also has information that it should be only between them. Now, technically, that should be a thing, but what would normally happen is that prosecutor would recuse himself. Doesn't mean that YSL Mondo could never be charged. No. What it means is that to not have a conflict of interest, you don't want someone who previously was with you to be prosecuting you, because now it puts you in a disadvantaged position. So whether it's a judge that used to be an attorney that represented you, or a prosecutor that used to be a defense attorney that represented you, those people would what they call recuse themselves. It's a conflict of interest. In business, if I'm trying to sign someone, like I was trying to, and I eventually did, I successfully signed someone to the Academy Records back then.
Remember, Wack acts like Akademiks has never signed anybody. Ack is telling everybody, yeah, I signed somebody to Academy Records. What you talking about, Wack, is fufafi. You all cap.
They wanted to use my lawyer. My lawyer helped me get the deal. My lawyer got 5% of my overall deal for the Academy Records. He is incentivized to make sure me, who's going to be the guy who's signing a bunch of people, I got the budget, I'm the guy. He wants me to get the most of money because he's going to get the most of money, right? So it wouldn't be ethical if I am signing a young kid and I said to the kid, you need a lawyer, but use my lawyer. That lawyer's not going to go in there and say, hey, let me get the deal really in the favor of this guy when I'm already eating with Ack over here. He's just going to get me the best deal.
And if we notice, right, all WACK100 does is try to offer his lawyer to anybody that he communicates with. Yeah, I have my lawyer do it. I have my lawyer. And I'm sure with Blueface, that's exactly what he did. Now I got the lawyer, you good. The lawyer gonna take care of everything. Just sign right here.
Do you understand? It's a conflict of interest. It's a pretty simple thing to acknowledge. Here was my understanding of what Blueface contract and situation was, right? And Wack does a really sleight of hand right here, and I want to point it out.
What is it? It's
Money bag, yo.
Oh,
Contract.
Here we go.
Anybody, music.
is money.
Here's the thing with Akademiks. When I talked to him, I said, have you ever done a contract with anybody musically? No. I said, what are you talking about? Well, I'm looking at finesse. Finesse is
Now, even though the conversation that I had stemmed from finesse, I was talking about a particular part. It's not about the 5 people in the contract. James Prince, the father's, James Prince Sr., he's listed in the contract, but really he's a manager. It becomes a conflict of interest. That's where I got this idea of conflict of interest. If he's supposed to be managed by the father, but signed to the son, why in the contract does the father, who is quote unquote going to be that's already a conflict of interest. You're managed by the father of the nigga you're signed to. Come on, like these are like kind of simple things, right? Like we're not like we don't got to be Aristotle or something, right? But whatever. Let's say that happens. When reading the contract, the father was also included as someone that was going to take percentage. Well, to me, that's double dipping. How are you the manager? And how are you also in the contract as the person that will be getting some type of proceeds from the music as if you were a label or, and this is the important part, a production company. Now, I'm going to explain to you a little bit of music shit because Wack is going to overtalk it right here. Listen to Wack.
And we all know that Wack is the manager and the label. So Akademiks is breaking it down, specifically crushing Wack's lie.
his contract. He got 4 or 5 people. I would never allow that to happen with.
Okay, so I explained that part already, right? It's not about necessarily the amount of people. Is that some people are doing 2 different roles, but they're all claiming percentage. That's a problem.
But none of my clients, because I know too many direct people.
But who is it? It's
and also the problem, even if you're saying, because somebody could make they could make the argument to say, well, JPE, which is James Prince Entertainment, he's in the contract because, you know, he's going to do management stuff, but he's just getting his money from the label. Well, no, you could do a letter of direction. And even then, that still piggybacks the artist, because you're saying that you have now signed a manager for the duration of your record deal. That seems more than a manager. That seems like a partner. A manager you should be able to fire whenever you want to fire him based on whatever deal you have. Now, maybe that includes, hey, you're going to be my manager for this entire record deal. Okay, cool, if that's what you want. But if your manager is baked in your deal that even if he's not working, he still gets paid, that seems like a partner, not a manager. A manager gets 20% off the top when he does services for you. But if your music does well, you know, and you had this deal, and whatever that comes from this deal, if he just gets paid no matter what, that sounds like a partner or an investor. But again, I'm trying to show you the sleight of hand of, you know, Wack speaking as if people don't understand, like the music industry is so complicated.
Money bag, yo.
Yo, you hear Act? He threw a shot directly at Wack with that one. He said Wack speaking as if the music industry is so complicated and people don't understand. that was a shot directly at him.
Oh, so he originally signed
Mob Ties,
and then Mob Ties.
JPE, which is the dad. You got Atlantic as the mother company. So that's 4. And then Hill. You see what I'm saying? So his 20% is really probably 20% of a 40%.
Okay, and this is where Wack does the talking. When Wack starts doing this, you're like, well, he got to be right,
Which is really,
and he's kind of right here about finesse.
they like 8%. This
But now the conversation comes back to him and Blueface.
is where Act gets shut down at. He said Blueface is signed to me, right? Blueface was signed to Cash Money West.
Okay. Now, this is, I'll acknowledge I don't know the full details or all the intricacies of his business, but I'm going off what I always heard Wack say. So Cash Money West is Birdman's company, right? That's kind of ran or overseen by WACK100, or was. I don't know if currently.
No more. We know that.
But just like how Atlantic, Uzi's quote unquote technically signed to, Uzi's really signed to Generation Now. That's called a production company. WACK100 is leaving out a step. Yeah, Blueface is signed to Cash Money West, but my understanding is that he's signed to Cash Money West through 100 ENT, which is Wack's production company. So technically, Blueface is signed to you, and you signed his rights to Cash Money. Woo. Now, I could be wrong. I haven't seen his contracts. And,
let's just be real. Act, you right. You just broke it down specifically, and he's gonna make sure he details it even further, but he broke it down specifically. Wack is double dipping. All that, you sit on No Jumper and you think, all right, I'm gonna go on this platform and expose it, and Act ain't gonna be able to really say nothing. And I'm good. I'm happy that Akademiks didn't allow you to come on the platform and for him to try to explain it. He took the time and used exactly what you said and broke it down and pointed out the details, so it wasn't like you could overtalk him and argue with him about the situation.
you want me to go back on my trusted site? I could go back on my trusted site and pull up Blueface's name, right? We could pull up his name and, give me 1 second. I don't know. Let me go find some tracks. Hold on. I'll put it on screen when I find. What was like his biggest track? Is it like? Okay. Here we go with this. Why does it say record label unavailable? All right, it's all good. What I'm gonna do is let me do here, and let me just go to Spotify yet again, right? So when I go to Spotify, and let's go to Blueface.
This gonna break it down.
This is gonna, they usually are accurate and will print wherever it's coming through, which you can figure out label information there, right? So I don't know. His latest single is called Vibes, right? Vibes. Rich the Kid, DDG, and Blueface. I don't think this is. I think this is Rich the Kid's song, low key. What's the last? I want to see the last Blueface solo song to be able to see. Better featuring Stunner Girl. Okay, let's look at that. Now, you see what you see right here that says 2026 100 ENT. Ooh. That's what Spotify is acknowledging the label to be.
So, if in 2026 Spotify is identifying 100 ENT as the label, that's who Blueface is signed to. Straight up. Blueface put a song out, they wouldn't have 100 ENT on there if that wasn't the label. They're not gonna just put the label on there just to put it on there. Y'all know that we got the music that's in the background is out on Spotify. If you go look up Deezy, Set Back, Get Back, you gonna see what label that's under. So what Wack is saying, he's trying to lie and manipulate, but he didn't expect Akademiks to go and specifically show the facts. And there's nothing that Wack can say to try to correct this when Spotify is identifying what label Blueface is signed to.
So when they're gonna pay out for this song, even though it's only 142,000 views, they're gonna pay 100 ENT. That's WACK100's company. Now, granted, from what I'm hearing and kind of like, I'm kind of figuring it out. It doesn't seem like Cash Money is in the picture anymore. So I get it. Now the production company stands alone. So it's just through Wack, right? Now, but right now, and this would be my argument to Wack. Your last song is dropped through a quote unquote record label that you own. How are you not his label? He could just upload this to TuneCore without you.
Yeah.
If you're not his label, it shouldn't say 100 ENT. It could say on Schoolyard Crib. When it says this, it's because it's going up through you as a label. That's how it works.
Now I'm telling you now, right? WACK100 is not going to like that Akademiks specifically pointed out with the proof that Blueface is signed to 100 ENT and that WACK100 is the manager of him, so he's double dipping. He's gonna definitely try to run a campaign on Akademiks. And this right here might go left. This right here, if Wack starts going at Akademiks, which I hope he does, Akademiks might reach out to Deezy and say, what you guys say about Wack? So we're going to see how this thing goes.
You get what I'm saying? It doesn't. Okay, now let's go off this assumption that Cash Money's not involved in this one, but maybe in the past one. So let's go back. Let's go back to 2024. We're going to pick a random song, but it has to be a Blueface song. We want to see how these things came out. Baby Mama. Okay, this is 2023. Perfect. Baby Mama Drama. Let's click on this song. What the fuck is this? 88601 Records DK. Okay. So what this is telling me now, right? What this is telling me, at least currently, let's go to BDD. Like, again, I'm just trying to figure out label. Okay, what label is this? 88601. 88601 Records. Now look on the song stats for this. I could tell whose label is registered to. It's distributed through DistroKid. And they've dropped TK, Cowboy, Rich the Kid, DDG. It says related artists, but it looks like it's mainly a DDG. No, not DDG. I mean, it's a Blueface label. Okay, so I don't know. That could be something else. And that's where I'm down to stand to say if I'm wrong, right? But going back, still in 2023. Oh, hold up, sorry, Chad. In 2023, I want to make sure this is big. Pause. It says 100 ENT. I don't know. This song is a big song. So Spotify would pay out 100 ENT. Now, whether Wack considers 100 ENT a production company or a record label, it's the same thing. Usually, just colloquially, people think that the record label is the funding party, which is Cash Money if Cash Money is attached. But he's technically signed to, or normally, because I don't know what deal they really have going on, but he's signed to you. Like, for example, if Atlantic Records drops Uzi and Uzi drops a song without Atlantic, it's still gonna say Generation Now. He's signed to Generation Now. That's it. If Blueface was not signed to Wack, 100 ENT would not be on his music.
That's a fact.
Why is your record label on his music? So that's why I'm coming up with that. I haven't seen their contract, just to be clear, but I'm going off of this because let's go find some other songs. I don't know. Blue Racks. This is Better Days. Okay, this is Better Days. Is this one? It's scared to come outside. So the boys get out the way. Yeah, right here. Outside Better Days is 2021. Let's click on this. Here we go. Fifth Amendment. Okay, so this one. So what it appears to me is that, I don't know, maybe he's signing these like single deals. It might be single deals. See, I don't know. And this one I stand to be wrong. Because if we keep seeing different labels, now some of this label shit is because of Bobby Billions. So Bobby Billions is on Empire and whatever. And E1, I think that's the one who distributed Blueface's record. But I'm just going off.
Well, we know that's Wack's label as well. Fifth Amendment, yeah, that's Wack's label as well. So Blueface, everything is filtered through Wack's label and managed by Wack.
For what we're seeing. That's it. That's it. So sometimes Blueface is dropping records coming out through what seemingly is Wack's. Where was Tatiana under? Let me just look at all these big songs. Here we go. Fuck. Why can't... shit, Tatiana. I'm trying to figure it out. Hold on. Tatiana. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm just trying to look at the label information. Okay, so in 2018, there is no Wack on this, right? There's no Wack. And that's the first album. Then Dirtbag drops. And that's on Cash Money. So Dirtbag has Cash Money on it. So seemingly, 100 ENT is not involved yet. Then Famous Crip Reloaded drops. And who drops that? Fifth Amendment. Well, they own the rights to it, so they would obviously re-drop it. But later on, it looks like... So, again, I'm down to amend. You know, I'm not that egotistical. What it appears is that WACK100's label came in after... Looked like Cash Money does no longer do business with Wack. It's very clear, right? Like,
that's a fact. Cash Money does not do business with Wack. Wack begged Birdman for a budget. Birdman told him, relax. We gonna do it. It never did it. You know, the big Paru that say the biggest thing that came out of Pacoima, he can't get a budget with Birdman no more. That's over.
Like, they literally was on the second album. We don't see them since. Right? So they were here for the Dirtbag album. And after that, which by the way was a pretty good album. I like that song Bleed It. Bleed It was dope. They had Daddy with Richard Kidd. But after that, we're gonna see like Wax label, which if you're asking me, maybe single deals. So I might be digressing, you know. Maybe it's not this big ass record contract that, you know, slave deal that some people might picture that Wack got him in. But Wack is getting these single deals for him, clearly. Like some of these songs I never heard. Patience. Where does this come out of? Yeah, Fifth Amendment seems to be one of those. So anyway, it doesn't matter if it's on all the records or not. The principle is going to stand, right? It's a conflict of interest if your label is also your manager. Now, I spoke to Wack, and Wack said, yo, if I'm operating as a production company and we take something and we get a bag from a label, I don't double dip. And I want to be clear, Wack said he doesn't double dip. Which that would be unethical, even though he technically could, if he's on paper as management. Because if you're on paper as management for me, Akademiks, it would mean if Spotify comes with 5 million, you take 2 million, or not 2 million, but 20%, right? Which is 1 million, right? Which is, okay, cool. Then if Spotify gives it an advance, you would get 20% of whatever the advance is. But if you also get an advance yourself, that's some partnership. So that's why it's double dipping. So, you know, I hope you guys understand. I think it's pretty simple. Yo, your manager can't be a label, bro. Like, you pick one. My nigga, either you're my label or my manager. Now, granted, does Blueface and Wack seemingly may have like this different relationship where maybe Wack is just hustling and getting him like single deals and a bag? Like he might get a song that starts popping off, and Wack goes to like E1. So it look like he's an independent artist. He gets a song popping off. Wack goes to E1 and says, yo, do you want, Bleed It, or you want this particular song? They say, yeah, we'll give $1 million for it. And Wack does that through his company, which is now the production company for that one song.
And Wack gets a percentage from the label and as the manager.
But necessarily, he doesn't have Blueface in a long-term recording contract. I guess. But generally, the point should not be dismissed. Your record label and your manager shouldn't be the same person. Ever.
Let's just be real. We can definitely, clearly see what that is. You can see what it is clearly. WACK100 is managing Blueface, and he's getting paid through the label. Double dipping. And we're not going to look at it no other way, because it's showing us right here. Your name, 100 ENT, your company name's on it, and you as manager. You're not going to tell us that you're only getting paid from the label and that you're not getting any money for being a manager. That wouldn't even sound right. You're going to make sure you get your cut all the way around. We already know what type of person you is, bro. And this like really exposed Wack for who he is. And it came from somebody that he was running all his narratives through. So Act gave you the opportunity to lie on all these other individuals on his platform, but when it came to you trying to lie on him, he exposed it, and it got exposed about your artist. So now, everybody's going to look at your artist as an individual that doesn't know what's going on in the contract.